Hello, guys. So, as I posted earlier in my short today, I am going to try something that I've never done before. As many of you guys are aware, I have done readings where I've either ended up channeling somebody's loved one or they've decided to come through in the reading. Hi, Gina. Thank you. Hi, Aries Dawn. Hello. And so we're doing something we've never done before. We are going to do a reading where it is, hi Ricky, thank you, sweetheart. I'm doing it specifically for those who have dearly departed. Now, what I mean by that when I say that is that I'm not reading, hi Liv, thank you, Cecilia. I'm not reading a specific situation for you. What I would be reading is a situation where you may or may not have somebody who has passed over that has a message for you or has some words of wisdom or whatever. Hi, Aries Dawn, and thank you. I hope you're well too. Hi, Jason. Thank you for logging on, bud. So for those of you, and this is something I actually have gotten asked quite a lot, is can you channel? Well, the simple answer to that is yes. However, I've never gone about doing a reading where that is the goal, is to channel. And so, long story short, I was in the tub this morning and I was kind of thinking about my mom. She would have been 79 today. And it occurred to me just out of the blue to do readings for somebody who is dearly departed. So the best thing that I can come up with is that she's the one who gave me the idea. So in memory of her and in memory of my late son, here we are. We are going to throw some cards and see what comes up. Guys, if this is something that you are interested in, something that maybe you guys might want to reach out to me for, I'm sure one of my mods will put up the information for me on how to contact me for a personal reading. Just in the subject line, let me know it's a dearly departed reading, and we'll go from there. So we've got a lot of new things going on, a lot of different things that we're doing, and we're not just doing the regular personal readings. I've been booking couples readings for those people who want readings where it's them and their significant other. I've been looking into, and we're starting to do the interactive readings where it isn't just me talking at a camera, but rather you get to interact with me by talking to me instead of in the comment section. And now we're doing this. So lots going on here on my channel. For those of you who are new, welcome. For those of you who have been around for a hot minute, thanks for coming on and thanks for sticking with me. And thank you, Ricky, for getting that up for me. So what I'm doing is I'm just focusing on my late mom, and I'm focusing on any messages that she might have for me, any things that she might want me to know. And whatever comes through may or may not be for me. It could be for one of my siblings. It could be for even my daughter or my dad. So we'll see. So we're just focusing on this. And you guys are here to witness a first with me. It's either going to go really, really well or it's not. But I have faith. And I wouldn't have gotten that message to do this kind of reading if it wasn't meant to be, right? So in the words of a friend of mine, you were told to do it for a reason. Follow your soul. Here we are. Hi, Paige. Thanks for joining. Lots of people commenting that have been here for a minute. Thank you for your love and support, guys. I really appreciate it. We're almost through shuffling. Got about 3 more. Two more. Keep in mind, guys, when I read, I rarely read for myself. And those of you who are on right now who know me know that I generally don't read for myself, because there's a tendency to read too much into it. So we'll see what comes through. If this doesn't work and my mom doesn't want to come through for me, then Jason, I will pull cards for you and we'll see if your mom has something to come through. Hi, Karina. Thank you. So the first card is the 10 of Wands. Novice of Pentacles. Elemental of Chalices. Four of Pentacles. And Eight of Wands. This is interesting, and it definitely has a different vibe than when I usually read, so bear with me, guys. So the first card is the 10 of Wands, and honestly, when I look at this card, I really see my mom. For those of you who knew her, she was very much an outdoorsy person. She loved to get out into the woods, and she loved to just be a part of nature in general. So this I see as her, and this is her way of letting me know that while she understands that there's a lot of emotional turmoil and a lot of just all over the place emotions, she's here. That's this card. The Novice of Pentacles, I really feel is a card where there is a message between that, and there's a couple other cards here that seem to be financially based, and we'll get there in a minute. But she is telling me that, and actually this isn't just for me, so if my big brother is on and watching and just hasn't commented, there's something in here for you as well. And this card is actually directed at my big brother, which is there is a lot of fear in the new endeavors, especially in the new career endeavors, but to stay the course, don't push the river, it flows by itself, and keep going because you got this. And this is the career path you're meant to go down. Don't go spend crazy on the holidays. I have a tendency to do that. And really kind of pay attention to different prices and stuff, as you're not always going to get the best deal in one store. Maybe kind of price compare and make sure that you budget, because otherwise you're going to end up overspending and there will be some catching up to do later. However, this is another card that really tells me that she's here. And this is a card that says that she's happy, she's flying free, and that she's where she needs to be. There's more to come, though. Hang on. And if I get a little emotional on this reading, guys, bear with me. Next card, Seven of Pentacles. Initiate of Swords. The Devil. Six of Chalices. And Strength. Looking at this, this is all about new beginnings. This is all about letting a lot of things and a lot of old cycles go, but be prepared for what's to come. There is a lot of new growth and a lot of new opportunities coming in, that this is kind of a be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it sort of situation, only not in necessarily a negative way, and there aren't any negative connotations behind that. More so just be prepared for that period of new growth. With that new growth, though, comes the inevitable ending of the old cycles. And so while be prepared for the new, you have to enjoy and appreciate the process, which was a huge thing with her. And she is clearly saying to not try and take things so fast. This tells me that yes, I need to take a pause. Yes, I need to regroup, and I need to pay attention because there is somebody in my circle that doesn't have my best interests at heart. They are somebody who has ulterior motives and somebody who is trying to catch the ear of somebody that is important to me and to kind of turn their thoughts and feelings. So that's a card I'll definitely pay attention to, and I'll kind of revisit some of my interpersonal relationships and figure out who I need to keep around and who I maybe need to distance myself from. This is a card that clearly states that my little one who has passed over is still around and she's keeping an eye on him. When I put up a post earlier on my personal Facebook page, I had commented, keep an eye on my Jaden bug, would you? And so for me, this is really personal because this tells me she's answering my question, and she will. And perhaps the most important part is to be prepared for the time that is coming as far as the anniversary dates and whatnot. And she's telling me that I'm a lot stronger than I think I am, and that I need to be strong for my husband and my daughter, because this is also something that is extremely traumatic and trying for them as well. So that's that card. And thank you, Paige. Thanks, sis. So I guess it worked, because there's definitely some stuff that came through, huh? Jason, I'm still going to pull for you. And thank you, Aries Dawn, because I can feel your mom. Lovely lady that she was. Thank you, Jackie, and hugs to you too. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate your love and support. But Jason, the second I started shuffling cards and I knew you were on, I was getting a really strong feeling like your mom is here and she is wanting to come through. So there's something going on in your world that she wants you to pay attention to, that she wants you to know about. And thank you again, guys. I really do appreciate your love and support. Legoland. For those of you who aren't aware, my 11-year-old son absolutely loved Legos. So for Gina to tell me Legoland is her way of telling me that she feels my son too. We're almost done shuffling for you, Jason. Thanks. Hugs to you too, bud. Yep, we've got about one more. Two of Chalices. I've never tried to read fur animals, Ricky. Ricky, or Rudy, I'm sorry, you are certainly allowed to ask a question. I can get into the basics, but as far as a more in-depth and personal reading goes, then you will need to order a personal reading. And it's further up in the comments, but I'm sure one of my mods will throw it on for you. Ace of Pentacles. Oh, also, guys, when you are sending payment to my PayPal, please note that it is under my maiden name. Gina, do you remember the spelling on that? If not, Liv, you want to post it? Because I've had a couple of people try and post it under my married name, and it's not coming through. The Magician. Seven of Chalices. Three of Swords. So we'll read the first group. Looking at this, Jason, who knows you better than anybody but your mom? And she has you nailed to a T. Because honestly, this is her. 100% this is your mom coming through. And this is a woman who was not afraid to tie her hair back, clean house all day, and yet still put on a full face and serve a dinner she had to that night. And she's telling you, basically, for lack of a better term, buck up, buttercup, you got this. And that you're better than you think you are. There is a lot more going on behind the scenes than what you're aware. And she is moving things around to go in your best interests. She also wants you to know to trust your gut as far as your financial situation goes, because there are certain things that are being moved around, and you will have some new financial opportunities coming your way here pretty quick. Remember, major arcana is life lessons, karmic cycles, and help from the other side. This is her and your brother and a couple of other people who have passed on, maneuvering things around so that way they will best work out in your favor and will best work out in the way that is most natural for you. As far as the stuff that you are stressed out about on a familial level, not outer familial level, I'm talking on a closer familial level. She wants to know everything's okay. She wants you to know that everything is going to balance itself out and that you just got to hang on and go for the ride. She knows that you miss her. She knows that when you really start to feel down and depressed, and she knows that you're having a really rough time right now, that you talk to her, and she wants you to know that she hears you and that she is there. Even when you feel alone and you feel like nobody is there for you and that you have the weight of the world on your shoulders, she's there. 10 of Swords. Three of Wands. Novice of Swords. So for anybody who just logged on, we are pulling cards for somebody who has passed to see if there's any messages that might need to come through, anything that she wants somebody to know. Two of Pentacles. And the Ace of Chalices. So those ties that you've been thinking about cutting, those ties that are there's a few situations that you're worried about, and she's telling you, yes, trust your gut. You know you need to walk away. And she's been whispering in your ear and telling you you just need to pay attention. Oh, well, you really do get bored at work, don't you? But you're doing what you got to do to make a buck so that way your family can survive. She sees it. Don't give up hope. You do have some new opportunities on the horizon. You've got a couple of things that you really are putting a lot of energy into, and she knows it, and she is doing her best to make those things happen for you. Was your mom Catholic? I don't think we ever had that conversation. But she is very much okay. She says, don't be like your dad. Where finances are concerned, don't be like your father. Good God, she is loud. That is very, very strong. Don't tell him, don't be like his dad. Got it. 1000% got it. I'll get it through. Okay. The other thing that's been weighing on your mind, and I'm not going to say names here out of respect for your privacy, but you will know who I'm referencing about. You have a younger male, younger than 20, older than 10, that you are stressed out about, concerned about, and you need to understand he is walking his own path and that he is really holding things close to the chest. He doesn't feel like, honestly, he's a lot like you. He feels like he can't talk a whole lot about what's bothering him. He doesn't really have the words to say it, but do know that she's there with him. Not only is she with you and not only is she with your dad, she is there with him, and he knows. He may not admit it to you, but he knows. And she sends him signs. He talks to her. And she is really, how is she putting it? She says, I just want to hug my boy so tight and tell him it's going to be okay. And that's the biggest thing, is she wants you to know that she loves you, and that as far as your worries with your younger one go, she says, you got this. She says, you'll know what to do and when to do it and when the time is right. Sorry, I'm reading the comments. Liv, does he want me to do it during this, or does he want me to FaceTime with you later? And back to you, Jason. There's one more card. Hang on. You worry about her. You worry about it. She's okay. Is she happy? Is she still in pain? Honey, she's flying free. She is 1000% okay. And she wants you to know that as much as you have put a lot of stress out there worrying about her, and a lot of you have some regrets, she says, don't. You don't need to have regrets. She hears you. She knows what you had to say when she passed, and you were left with a lot of things that were left unspoken. And she heard you. She knows where your heart is, and she knows those things that you meant to say. Okay, so Rudy, you had a question for me. This is for somebody who is dearly departed. So if it is a different type of question, I'm going to ask you to email me, tinajaystarot@gmail.com, or you can send me payment through PayPal or whatever. But if you do have a question regarding somebody who is dearly departed, please go ahead and ask in the comments, and we'll see what comes through. And for those of you who are wondering, because I'm anticipating this question as to how you can order one, what the pricing is going to be and whatnot, I think while we're just getting started and whatnot, we will keep them same price as personal readings, $25, and you'll go about booking them in the usual way. Send me an email with your question and information. Remember, they're $25. Send payments to @Thessaly83204, which is my PayPal. And let me know in your email whether or not you want it posted publicly, or if you want me to email you a private link. But I'm still waiting. Gina, you have some questions. Who is it you want me to read for? I can feel it. I think I know, but I can feel it. You're welcome, Jason. Did that help, bud? That's what I was thinking. I was feeling, and here come the goosebumps. It's your dad. Your dad wants to come through. Did that help, Jason? Wow, I'm getting hit with tons of goosebumps, you guys. There's a lot of loved ones that are wanting to come through tonight. Okay, Gina, you will know which one this is by this card. I can guarantee it. And this is the Empress. Trying to tilt that so there's not as much of a glare. Next card, Judgment. This is your dad, by the way. I would say that's a good thing, Aries Dawn. Next one, Elemental of Swords. It's not the first time we've gotten that in this reading series. Elemental of Pentacles. And Three of Chalices. So, Gina, I'm telling you, this is your dad. And it was kind of a fight there for a hot minute as to which one of them was going to come through. But I do believe your dad won out. You came in to help Aunt P when she needed you the most. And yeah, by the way, this is 3. The third major arcana. You have brought new life where, and I think some of this you're already aware of, but he says you don't know how much you really helped. He says you have brought a new youth and vigor to her and hope when she didn't have any. And as much as you don't want to, there's a lot of judgment from other family members. And a good portion of that is not your cross to bear, but it is being directed at you. And that is something that really goes back a long ways. And most of it is even before your time. There is, your family is, at least that part of your family, is all about the grudges, aren't they? And these are grudges that have been carried on for a long time. However, he says, yeah, I figured you were aware. This is that new vitality and vigor. You are bringing a lot of inspiration to her that I don't even think you knew about. She was just about ready to give up. And not anymore. He says, you don't see what I see. And there's stuff that you just couldn't know about. And he says she was all but ready to just give up and be done. And she's not anymore. It's like she's a new spirit, she's flying free. And she has more energy and more want and will. Okay, he also says that this is kind of a twofold thing. Number one, you're going to have to be a little frugal for a little while. He says the job thing isn't going to come through as quickly as you would like, but it is coming. He's working to try and help line things up so that way it won't be just something that is here and gone. He says it won't be a flash in the pan. It's something that will last for a while and really help build that foundation that you're working to build. But he also says, don't let your Aunt P color your vision of your friends. He says you have some friends that you haven't talked to, and you need to reach out and you need to talk to them. There's a few of them, he says, that feel neglected. And he says, but that's okay. You can just do coffee over the phone. Your dad was an odd beastie. This is somebody I've never met before, guys. I may know Gina and I may know her family, but I've never met her dad. Ah, the Emperor. Get the feeling this phase might just be your grandpa. The Hermit. Two of Pentacles. Two of Swords. That's right. I remember you saying something about that. And the Chariot. Yeah, Gina, I really, really feel like this phase, it's almost like they agreed one would take part one and the other one would take part two. This is your grandpa. He was very much the patriarch of your family and he was respected. And there were not many people that would cross him. That's your grandpa. And he says, and I quote, young lady, you don't need to be so worried about finances. Things will work themselves out. And he says, you need to quit trying to do more than what you should be doing right now. Right there. That's it. He says, there's some stuff that you just don't see right now, but what you do see are the problems that are right in front of your face. And he says you need to quit focusing on what you can see and what you're so stressed out about And you need to have a little faith. Because it'll all work out in the end. And the exact words were, it all works out in the wash. He says, you'll be just fine. Okay, Rudy, to get back to you. You wanted to know if your grandmother, Irma, has a message for you. You're thinking that she has been trying to get your attention. And then Priscilla, we'll see what comes through for you. And again, guys, if you want something more in depth, please feel free to order a reading, and we'll either schedule it so it is an interactive reading, or where I video it and I either send you an unlisted link or I post it publicly, whichever you would prefer. So let's see if your grandma wants to come through, Rudy. And if not, then she just may not want your message to come through in a format such as this. She might want to wait until it's a little private, but we'll see. Or a little more private, I guess I should say. Hey, that's interesting. Have you been having relationship like wonderings or whatever? The reason why I ask that is because the very first card tells me that whatever it is you are stressing out about on your relationship, she wants you to know you will be just fine. It will all be okay. She also wants you to know that you don't have to choose between your friends and family and or your significant other. Oh, but you feel like you do. Not realizing, she says, your friends have your back no matter what. They understand. And those who don't were never your friends to begin with. This is the 9 of Wands, right side up. And yeah, she says, and wants you to know that there are a few people, and you already know this. She says she knows, she's just not listening. There's a few people that aren't your real friends, that are friends on the surface, because she says all they're looking for is something to use against you later. And you don't need that. You don't need to get wrapped up in that drama. She says you're kind of flying blind. And at times you feel a little lost. She says you're not lost. I'm right here with you. Yeah, she says you're okay. She says even when you feel alone, even when you feel like there isn't anybody else there with you and it's you against the world, she says I'm always there and you're just fine. You just need to have faith that you're just fine. So remember how we started off the entire reading with the Lovers? Kind of interesting that the very last card I pull reinforces that relationship that you are so stressed out about, the ultimate thing, the biggest thing that she is really hammering home is, she says, don't give up on him. It will be okay and it will work out, and you will, it's all going to be the way you want it to be. For the record, guys, when your loved ones cross over, they do hear you. They may not respond in the way that you are used to them responding, but a lot of times they will send you scents. They will send you little signs, whether it be butterflies or coins, or they will put something in your path to remind you of them at just that moment. Priscilla, you want to know if there is a message from your husband. That's a good example of that, Ricky. Yes. Priscilla, that is, I don't think, let me rephrase this. Here we go. You didn't let him down. I don't even have to pull a card for that. He says, tell her I am so proud of her. I couldn't be prouder. Hey, God, you guys, you're going to make me cry on camera. That's never a good idea. But he says you didn't let him down. Ooh. Yeah. Your hubby's here. And he knows that you've been withdrawn and you've been overstressed and overworked, and you're trying desperately to make everything make some sort of sense. And he says, and she's pulling away from everybody and everything that she loves. And he says she's getting swallowed by her grief. It's not the way he wants to be remembered. He wants you to go out and have a good time and live the life that you are meant to live. Sorry, that's the Ten of Pentacles. The first one was the Hermit. As I'm reading these and I'm channeling, I sometimes forget to tell you guys which the cards are. Novice of Pentacles. You have, okay, that's what I wondered. You have some new things that are coming through for you. He says, know that I helped put them there to put a smile on your face, to make you happy again. He doesn't like seeing you so sad, and neither does your dad. Now that's interesting. You guys had a special place that you used to go, something that meant a lot to the two of you. He says, you need to go there. He says, I wait for you and you'll hear me in the whisper of the wind. He says, you listen for me and you feel for me and you feel like I'm not there, and I'm there with you always. So that whole feeling like you need to run, you don't need to run. Whatever that situation is that you are trying to run from, you can't run from it. And he says, and this is actually it, I don't need to pull more cards, because this actually is the end card for yours, which is I'm there with you always. When you talk to me, I hear you. He says, and when you feel the worst and you feel the lowest, I'm there. And he wants you to know that he is there for the kids. So, and this card is the Seven of Wands white side up, but he is there. He's there with you all the time. He hasn't left your side. There is a lot of emotions coming through. I'm going to be exhausted when I'm done, Jay. Let's see, Karina. I rarely ever get anything negative from somebody who has crossed over, Aries. Rarely, rarely ever. So sorry, Priscilla, I just went back and yes, you will heal. The only way to get through it is to work through it. From experience on having lost somebody that I was really, really close to and I really, really loved. And yes, he still loves you. He wouldn't have come through tonight if he didn't still love you. And yes, absolutely. Schedule a private reading with me. Again, the information is in the comments. One of my mods will drop it, I'm sure. My email is tinajadestarot@gmail.com and we'll work it out. And yes, I would love to do a reading for your son. Alrighty, Karina. Okay. So this is, you want me to pull Kath. Sorry, I'm just reading the comments so I know specifically what you want to know. You're welcome. To answer your question, yes. She knew and knows that you were sorry about everything that happened. And she knows that there were a lot of emotions that you weren't able to express then, and you're still having a difficult time expressing now. She says that's okay. She says there was a lot going on behind the scenes that you weren't aware of, and on her end, but also the reverse is true. What was your other question? Sorry. Got to scroll back up. Okay, that's what I thought. So, your relationship question, you asked if there was something that she was trying to get through to you, trying to communicate to you. And yes. Have you just started a new relationship? Or are you contemplating starting a new relationship? Because she wants to tell you that it's coming, it's just not coming as soon as you want. She says that you got to give him time to catch up. Boys are like that. Honestly, guys, a lot of times these mean more to you with whatever comes through than it does for me. And I'm not saying that to be mean. It's just that's the way it is there's inevitably something that ends up coming up that will hit home for you. And that's how you know that I'm not just telling you what you want to hear and that spirit is actually coming through. You want to know if she's okay. That's not something you asked, but you want to know if she's okay. And she says, yes, I'm okay. She says, I don't hurt and I'm not held down by life anymore. That's the elemental of chalices. Yep, this card. Okay, yeah, so this card isn't for you. You aren't involved with anybody, but young boy, young girl. And she says, you're going to be. She says, tell her that she's not ready for it yet, but when she's ready, he's coming. She says, I'm making sure he's coming. Okay, one Faith. You want to know if your dad is okay and if he's at peace and does he love you? And you're welcome. You're welcome. One Faith. We're just about done shuffling. Yep, we're done. Okay. The first card is the Moon. And you asked if he's okay. Yeah, he's okay. He is at peace and he is able to travel and do so much more than what he could do here. Did I ask who? Interesting question, One Faith. Because the reason why you feel like he didn't love you is because you feel like he was emotionally distant and that he kind of would pull away from you. And he says, tell her that I always loved her. I never stopped loving her. And again, for you, even when you think that he isn't with you, he says, I'm right there. When she's feeling the lowest, I'm there. And he hears you when you talk to him. When you get really, really low, he says, I'm there. And he says, and I wrap my arms around her and I give her a hug. And she sometimes thinks she feels me, and then she brushes it off. Did you have an argument with him shortly before he passed, One Faith? Because this says that there was almost a distancing and like a pause there. And that I feel like his death was rather sudden, that it wasn't something that took a long time to happen. You asked if okay, I'm going to show you the picture regardless of the name of the card. He says to show her the picture because it will mean more to her than words ever would. So I'm going to listen. He says that sorry, I'm trying to listen and speak at the same time. Sometimes that isn't always my friend. He says you need to quit second guessing yourself. He says you've always known, but that you have a tendency to always want to check and feel like it isn't, like you're not right. And he says, tell her she's right. And yes, he says, from the beginning, he's loved you. And he says, and I still love her. Even now, even after he's crossed, he loves you. That's the biggest thing. He says, you're worried about whether or not he loved you. He says, the question is, when did I ever not? Okay, so Jackie, you want to know if your sister has a message. And remember, guys, if you want a more in-depth reading, please hit me up. Order a reading. I'd be happy to get more in-depth with you. So, sorry, Ricky, I had to stop and go back up and read Aries' question. And yes, that is a valid question. So, and that explains why that picture meant more to you than just me telling you. Aries, on you asked what happens if somebody passed and you don't know about it, but you think so. They would come through. Provided that they had gotten through the initial shock of their passing and whatnot. Usually spirit doesn't come through immediately. Sometimes it'll take a month or two for it to happen as they kind of revisit everything that happened and lessons learned in this lifetime and whatnot. But yes, they would come through. And Jackie H., you want to know if your sister has any messages. Did your sister pass, or am I seeing if she has any messages for her? That's what I thought. She's been hanging around you quite a bit. You know that, right? She says that you have thought that you saw her either right as you were going to sleep or right as you were waking up, and then you dismissed it. She said that was her. She says she's been there. Has there been a time that you thought you saw her? Because I almost never get that in a reading. Hector, I'll get to you in just a second. We're reading for Jackie, okay? Excuse me. Yeah. First card, incidentally, she says she appears to you in dreams. And she says she's tried to get you to see her either right as you're going to sleep or right as you're waking up, when you're still in that state between dream and awake. And that is her thing. You're welcome, Jason. She says that she has been trying to reach you for some time, and that she's trying to show you she's still around. She's trying to show you that she never left your side. Is there an authority figure that you both kind of were like us against them sort of thing? Whether it be like a teacher or something, because that is an odd memory to bring up. Something that I have never come across before when channeling this. She says it's And I'm getting random images that are kind of coming sudden. But she says that, yeah, it's interesting. You're fine, Liv. You two were super tight, weren't you, Jackie? Like, and maybe that's just her perception of it, but I see more like the two of you in a union where you two really close, because that's how she is coming through, is like the two of you were really close. And I'll show you this card in a second. I'm trying to figure out how it okay. And there's the rest of it. All right. So that explains the rest of it. Okay. I was wondering where she was going with that. She says that you're stronger than you think you are, and that you are kind of that rock that everybody relies on, even though you may not feel so at times. She says there are a lot of people who rely on her, and she doesn't understand that a big part of it is her kindness. She says that's her biggest strength, is her kindness and her love for the people that are in her life. Those people that you hold close, you hold really close, and they are, she, like, you were their anchor in a way. I'm looking at this card if you're wondering. She says that you have some, and this is the interesting part because I'm not sure why she's bringing it up, but she says, know that there are some things that are coming that she's lined up and she's helped maneuver so that way they fall into your path at just the right time. And that is her biggest thing. And she wants you to know that she's there. She says that, and that's the other thing, she's leaving you coins. And they aren't any random coins. Her thing for you is specifically quarters. If you start seeing random quarters, like just laying around, you just walk through someplace, you know that there wasn't anything there, and all of a sudden they're on the floor, you see a quarter, or on a nightstand when you know there wasn't one there before or whatever, she says that's her. She is leaving you coins. And that is her way of letting you know that she's there, because that much she can manifest and that much she can do. But she says also you need to pay attention to your dreams, which is interesting, but okay. One, faith. Don't carry that guilt. That's the biggest thing is, and I can hear it. He says, tell her not to feel guilty. He says, I loved her. And she doesn't think so, but I didn't want her to see me pass. Which is kind of, wow. There's a lot of emotion there. He was very adamant that he did not want to see, or he did not want you to see him that way. He did not want you to see him pass. Let me scroll back up real quick. Okay, Hector, this one's for you, bud. You're welcome, Jackie. I hope that helps. Hector, are you still on so we can knock this one out for you, bud? Ooh. Yeah, your daddy's here. And here we go. Wow, he was a force to be reckoned with, wasn't he? He was somebody who, you were his buddy. He says, that's my little man right there. And you can't see it on camera, obviously, but I am covered in goosebumps from head to toe. He says, and there's some of this that is kind of getting lost in translation, so bear with me, Hector, but he says, tell my boy I love him. And I can see that chin knot going. We're almost done shuffling. Yep, we got about 2 more. Did your dad speak Spanish, Hector? And I ask that because there's someone who I keep hearing, and it is a male voice, that is talking to me in very fast, very fluent Spanish. I'm trying to determine whether or not that's your dad or whether or not that's someone else trying to come through for somebody else that's watching. Okay, I know very little Spanish. So if I mispronounce anything at any point in time, please, you can laugh at me, but know that I tried from the heart, okay? Your dad passed really unexpectedly, didn't he? There is, and I've never had this card start off a channeling kind of reading, but this is the card that tells me that your dad passed very suddenly, and the entire thing was an earth-shattering, life-changing moment, not just for you, Hector, but for your mom and for your family. And yeah, it was very, very sudden. The very first card I pulled is the Tower. And it was not expected by him either. It wasn't something that you could see coming. It was boom, and your entire world changed. He's not hurting anymore. He says, I'm okay, and I'm at peace. And I'm where I can keep watch over you. He is watching you grow up. He says, tell him I'm always there. And he knows that you looked up to him. He knows that when you thought he wasn't watching, or let me rephrase that. When, I'll get there in a second, Priscilla. When you think he wasn't no, sorry, I'm trying to say that. Okay. When you thought he wasn't aware that you were watching, he knew. And to answer your question, yes, you'll be okay. And your son will heal. It was a very traumatic event, especially judging by the images that keep flashing in my mind. But you will be okay. Odd and random. I'm supposed to tell you need to do good in school so you can help take care of your mom. He says you're the man of the house now. That's your job. Priscilla, he knows that you have a lot on your shoulders right now. And he knows that you suddenly are trying to take care of everybody all at once. And that he was your rock. He was that anchor for you. And your whole world got changed. But he says, tell her she'll be all right. He says, have a little faith, Mama. You'll be okay. Hector, I get the feeling there is a very specific question that you want to ask and you're afraid to. What is it? I'm waiting for the comments, guys, if you're wondering why I'm just sitting here staring at the camera. He knows you do. He's all too aware. And he knows that you feel guilty when you do. What's interesting is he says you keep looking for him. You keep waiting for him to come down the hallway or to come into the room. There's nothing you could have done. I don't even need the cards for this part. Here we go. He says there's nothing you could have done, hijo. Wow. He says, tell my boy I'm proud of him. Tell him I love him. And tell him that it's not his fault. You don't need to feel guilty. He says you need to let that go. He says that was my time. He says it's okay. And he says he loves you. He says he wasn't ready to say goodbye. But he is so proud of you and of the man that you're becoming. Oh my goodness, guys, you're killing me. Ugh. Give me just a second. Right back to that tower. That really rocked your world. And I know you feel, Priscilla, like you're never going to get through it and you're never going to overcome this. But yeah, you lay awake at night, stressed out about the whole thing, and you have guilty feelings too. Okay, you want to know if you'll be happy again? Yes, you will be happy again. It's going to take a little bit of time, but you'll be okay. Don't be on somebody else's timeline to do things according to their time and their way and so on. You both need to do and work through your grief in your own time, in your own way, and be there for each other. And that's his biggest thing, as he says, don't split apart, because that's not what I want. And that's the other thing that I was about to address, Priscilla, is you are their rock. He may have been there in a bunch of 100 other little ways, but he says nobody can get them through this like their mom. Okay, One Faith, give me a minute and I'll find the card and we'll look at it in just a second, okay? Sorry, I'm listening, Priscilla and Hector. I haven't just suddenly gone quiet on you. I'm listening and seeing all of the visuals, and it's a lot. And I know that his passing was very sudden and very traumatic. I get, okay. He says, tell him to write me a letter or draw me a picture and then burn it. He says, and I'll get it. Now, as for you, One Faith, and Priscilla and Hector, by all means, guys, reach out to me and we'll schedule an interactive reading where we don't have a bunch of other people who are wanting stuff read and whatnot. And I will pull what I can for you, and we'll see what comes through. I'm looking for that card for you, One Faith. Bear with me for just a second. And you're welcome. I hope by all of the events here tonight, you and your family and your kids have found some sort of comfort. And I'm a looking, One Faith. Go figure if it's near the top of the deck, huh? Yep, it was. Okay, so here's the email address. Give me just a second. Oops. Sorry. And that should be at, I believe it's that one that is associated with my PayPal. And it could be. I had somebody I had to walk through readings who was from somewhere in the Mediterranean, and we had to figure it out. And you're very, very welcome, Hector. God bless. As for you, One Faith, this is the picture, and this is in the Pagan Tarot deck. It is the Justice card. And can you see that a little bit better? I'm trying to hold it without much glare. Can you see that a little bit better? Because my doggo kicks me. Hi, Jessica. Liv, your doggo is here lending his energies too. That's Gutty Yuddy. Sit down. Sit down. Are you helping? So did you see the card? Or do you want me to explain the image? Sorry, I'm waiting for One Faith to respond and tell me whether or not I need to explain the image or whether or not she actually was able to see it. There we go. Okay, so you want me to explain the image? This is very much him letting you know that even though you don't always see him, you don't always feel him, and you feel like he wasn't around and whatnot, he says, I've always been there in the background. And he says that you were focused on other things and whatnot, but I've always been there just out of sight, helping to kind of tip the scales and work things in her direction. I was always trying to make her life a little easier. And yes, he knows that you idolized him. And because of that, he says, I was trying to be the best man I could be. Somebody worth idolizing. Priscilla, he hears you. When you talk to him, just like when you talk to your husband, he hears you. Okay? All right, guys, as much as I have enjoyed this, I'm starting to feel really drained right now from all of the different emotions and all of the different people coming through. If you want a personal reading and not one this way, then yes, you can email. Please indicate whether or not you would like it as a personal reading in the type, if you would like a dearly departed reading, or if you would like a interactive reading where we schedule like Google Meets or Skype or something. I am going to go live again tomorrow afternoon. I'm not quite sure what time, but watch for the short in the morning or the comment that I will put up, and I'll let you guys know exactly what time it is. And please remember, it's always Mountain Standard Time. So to that end, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go, and hopefully I'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you for joining me, and love and light to you all.